Welcome. This is Pip Marketing and I am your host, Rachel Klaver. I love helping small business owners become more confident and more capable with their marketing. So this podcast is all here to help you do just that. It's me and the help of some great guests helping you learn new skills, new strategies and ideas. Let's jump in and get started. Let me just say at the outset that if I didn't have my book coming out in the next few weeks, by the way, it's on pre-order. So if you want to go and get it, please do. It's called Be a Spider, Build a Web. I'll put a link in the show notes. Anyway, if I did not have that happening, I would be using any extra time to apply everything I learned in this podcast to our own business. In fact, the first thing I did when I finished recording this with our guest today was I booked in a planning meeting with my husband, Rod, who's also my business partner and our systems guy, to make sure that we make this happen. Trust me when I say that my mind was completely blown, and I am so excited to see this working not only in my business, but other people listening to this podcast today. Today, we're talking to Pip Meacham, who is a multi-award-winning systemization specialist with a love of all things systems, technology, processes, and workflow. The stuff Rod tends to love and I get excited about, but you don't want me to help you set them up. She's a specialist at looking at the how in your business, how you do things, and then translating that into ensuring your processes and workflows are optimized for efficiency and effectiveness. She helps you implement tools and technology to help streamline your operations with operating procedures that help you scale and build a business that can work without you. Today, we're talking about VideoAsk, an app by Typeform that allows you to use video to help draw people into the right stages of the customer journey on your website, identifying what they want and then giving to them what they need. We love it because it integrates with ActiveCampaign, which is one of the platforms that we use, and it also integrates with Zoho, which is another one. In fact, if it connects to Zapier, your application is going to connect to VideoAsk. The application possibilities are endless. Pip also uses VideoAsk for help desk support, and I'm thinking it would be great for my coaching program. Best of all, you can get started with a completely free account. If you know your website's getting the hits but not the sales, you might need to investigate this Choose Your Own Adventure app yourself. So listen to the podcast today and see if this is something that you could apply for your business. I know for me, I'm hoping very much one day that in the not too distant future that you'll get to see it, us using it on ours. Let's get started listening to Pip. Hi, and welcome to the Pip Marketing Podcast. As you know, today we're talking to Pip Meacham. She is a business systems expert. I wrote that down because otherwise I was going to make that all mixed up. And she is dialing in or phoning in today from the Gold Coast. She's a Kiwi, but she's also an Aussie, so she's a perfect blend for our listeners. And she's going to start. I'm really excited because I've asked Pip to be on this podcast because my husband, Rod, who you all know works with me, went to a webinar where Pip was presenting, came home and raved about him for 90 minutes and said, you must have her on your podcast. And that's what you came. So Pip, before we jump in and talk about what we're going to be talking about today, tell us a little bit about you. Like, what do you do and who do you work for? Like, what sort of businesses?
Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for having me on.
I forgot to say thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. And thank you to the listeners too. I am very terrible. I always, in an email, I don't know if you're like this, but I'll write my email and then I have to go back and be nice at the top of the email. That's my personality. So I'm sorry. You're right. Thank you so much.
No, that's fine. Hey, everyone. I am Pip. Yes, I am a fence sitter. I've been on the Gold Coast now for 14 years. So we're almost past the fence sitter point, but all my family is still in New Zealand. So my heart is definitely there. I help people look at their workflows to make them more efficient, more consistent, provide really good experiences for both their customers and then also their internal team as well, trying to find that really nice balance and medium between the two different parties. So that's everything from looking at how people are doing what they're doing, so how they get from point A to point Z, all the way through to helping them find and choose and implement the right technology for their business, and then through to creating standard operating procedures and training guides after that as well. So it's a bit of a mouthful.
No, and I think it is so important because so many, like I know for me with Identify, I started the business because I had to leave something else and I was studying something, and I fully planned to be a solopreneur. Like I fully planned it just to be
just me. And now we went to a team of 14. I built it too fast because of systems issues, really, as well as other stuff, and it kind of crumbled and we had to rebuild it. And now we've got a team of 8, and learning the importance of implementing and embedding systems before you go into major growth is just so important. Quite often we have to retroactively do it, and it's a lot more difficult. Would you agree?
100%.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time people come to me is because they are going through that growth period where they're like, things just, what was working before isn't working anymore. Or they've had a whole bunch of new team members come on who have learned how to do things through Chinese whispers. So everything is a little bit different delivery by every team member as well. So it's really about bringing all that together, working out what best practice is, and then rolling it out across the team before things break, ideally.
Because I know that for me, and I think this is because you work I know you work with all sorts of businesses, but for service-based businesses, especially if the owner of the business is an operator in that space. So for me as a marketing strategist, one of the biggest issues I had the first time round, which I think we've almost eliminated, is I obviously need to take into account every other strategist's personality type and their differences. But our structure of what we deliver, the standard of what we deliver, had to be the same, because otherwise there's going to be these huge problems if people came and said, oh, hang on a minute, well, Identify didn't do that for me, how come it did it for you? And I think that for service-based businesses in particular, having really good systems and removing that Chinese whispers by having really standard operating procedures and templates and things to put in place can really help you scale in a way that often my type of business can struggle to do. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And what people tend to think as well is that by putting systems and procedures in place, that it's restricting the creativity, especially in fields like digital marketing. Yeah. But it can't be further from the truth. People still have to have the freedom to be able to do and deliver the creative stuff, but in a way to make sure that no customer is missing out.
Yes,
as well.
And I personally believe, like I've done a lot of work around creativity, and I've taught around creativity for years. Creativity works best in boundaries. If you have, I've got a story actually. I know we're going to talk about the stuff we're talking about in a minute. I haven't even told, we haven't even seen what we're talking about today. But I worked years and years ago with quite a well-known brand. I was interviewing them for a magazine, and I heard a great story about the CEO of that company, because he went and told his designers, I want you to give me the range. I'm not going to brief you on what I want. I just want you to use your creativity to come up with it. And he came back 2 weeks later and they had blank pieces of paper. And they said, we need a structure. We need something. And so he went, oh, for goodness sake. And he got a piece of paper and he put like this scribble on the paper and said, there's your brief. And he came back 2 weeks after that and they had a design. And it was just like, even though it was such a loose brief, having a boundary or having something to kind of put your stake in the ground can really help you grow that creativity. I believe you need good systems, you need good routines and habits and systems to be more creative.
Yeah.
It's a restraint against that makes you creative. So I'm 100% with you. And I need to learn that too, because I am an unhinged ADHD business owner with a husband whose primary job in our business is to keep me restrained. But he's systems and he gets frustrated sometimes. I want a shortcut. But I've learned the beauty of working within systems to create better. And it's a tension, but it makes you better if you do it.
And it gives you the space to be able to focus on what you do, doing what you do best. As well. Yes. It takes a lot of that having to think out of the equation and just allows you to do whatever it is you need to do.
Yeah, because so much of our business life is admin. And so often business owners get stuck. Like I've talked to lots of business owners who've got a team and, I said, well, what do you do with the day? Like, I'm drowning in admin. But so much of our admin can be automated or have systems in place so that you're not having to touch everything 3 times, for example.
Yeah. Or even just having, not even, because I'm all about automation, but for the right reasons as well, when it's not going to impact people, but even just having those workflows. So like I said before, you don't have to think, you just, your system will tell you what needs to happen next, and you can just methodically work through it after that as well.
Much easier. Now, the reason I have you on the podcast, besides the fact that this is a deeply interesting subject for me, we're going to pull it a little bit back into the marketing space. The platform that Rod saw when he came to the webinar with you was one called VideoAsk. And I have this huge goal to put it in practice for Identify. I love video anyway. And I also saw it and went, oh my gosh, I want to do this. I want to tell all my clients to have it, which would be very irresponsible because one, I hadn't talked to you about how you found it. And two, I haven't done it myself yet. So what is VideoAsk and why do you love it?
Yeah, so VideoAsk is a piece of technology run by the owners of Typeform. So it comes under their brand. It's a little video tool that you can use in numerous ways. So for example, I have it on my website, and it's a tool that allows you to create a choose your own adventure type funnel for your clients. So really allowing them to segment themselves into either a lead for you, so being able to sort of answer a few questions before they get to the inquiry form, or even using it for things like support, having and allowing on the, actually it's a better example, on the bottom of my email, there's a chat with me here button, which then opens the VideoAsk tool where people can send me little videos and we can communicate back and forwards before we get to the email. So it really allows people to.
I want to use that. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know I could do that. Like, oh my gosh. Right,
and otherwise,
next week, I'm setting it up.
It's just a really good way. I get so many people. I took the contact form off my website and replaced it with this VideoAsk tool. Wow. And by the time I actually get around to having a meeting with somebody, they always say to me, we feel like we know you already. They've seen that I'm a speed talker. They know that I talk with my hands and they go everywhere. It's a really good chance for them to not be talking to a lifeless web page and instead really start to put some character and some personality in behind it as well.
So a couple of things around this. So I did a podcast last year around Bonjoro, which I can see has some overlaps with it, but it's not so much for lead generation. So I've used Bonjoro. With VideoAsk, are you having to log into the platform to use it?
For me or for people who are engaging with it?
Both.
Yeah. So if somebody else is sending me a message, no, they don't need to log in at all. They can just simply record a video. They can do audio only, or they can even just do like a text message. For me to then manage those, there's a couple of different ways to go about it. Yes, I can either log in so I can reply back via video, but with mine in particular, pretty much every step of my VideoAsk ends up in an Acuity booking form for them to book in a meeting with me. So I'm generally speaking not having to log in because Zapier is then kicking it in the background to automate it into my CRM and other tools ready for me to use it from there.
Exciting. And one of the reasons that we looked at it, I've got another question between this, but I just want to ask this, is that it was an Active Campaign webinar, and I was talking about the integration with Active Campaign. And we are like you, we're Active Campaign partners. So for us, we could see huge parallels. Does it integrate with other platforms as well?
Yeah, so anything that you can connect it up to via Zapier, so the automation tool, or any of those other automation tools as well, then you can get it to pretty much talk.
So you do need to have, what's best anyway in terms of systems, we both would agree with this, it's best when it's connected to a CRM so that you can make sure your leads are in there, and then you can have automatic process to say, hey, a lead's come in, or this person's at this stage, or even adding them to an email list with another range of other things if they haven't met the criteria. Correct. Is that right?
Yeah. And then just being able to delegate things as well. So, we have one set up for support requests. So if people are needing help, they submit their VideoAsk, which goes into a pipeline with an Active Campaign and then gets distributed via round robin type style, so people can then manage those incoming support requests.
That is awesome. Yeah. I love that. So I had a question because something sparked when you said that. I was looking at another program today. A colleague of mine, Linda, I always forget her surname, but she's an amazing marketer in Australia. So I feel very bad that I forgot.
Oh, Linda Reed Evner.
Thank you. I was like, is it Reeves or Reed? I don't want to say it. So Linda Reed Evner. So she uses a program called Volley. She's running a summit in September, and she said, hey, you've got to pitch to this using this Volley, which again is like a video thing, and it's got threads. And it was talking in there about how you could use it for coaching. And I've got a coaching group, and I was like, maybe that's a good idea. Would VideoAsk, if you're using it as those support calls, you could probably use it as part of a coaching program too, couldn't you? Where you go, here's my thing, ask me questions and I'll reply back to you, and you get that kind of one-on-one
Definitely. Yep. And again, it's all via, you can do it from your mobile phone. So
I love it.
Very quick and easy to just jump on, hold the video record button like you're talking to your camera on your mobile phone, and then just take it from there.
I'm just making a list of the ways I'm going to apply this.
The biggest one for us has been the whole website leads, contact form type stuff. The moment that we took the boring form off the website, our inquiries and our conversion rate for inquiries skyrocketed.
Wow.
We went from getting, 1 or 2 every couple of weeks to 1 almost every day. Like, it has really made a huge difference because you are helping to prompt people along as well. What I do isn't always exactly clear because it's such a weird space to be in.
Broad, right? Like, what you do is really broad. So you're having to work out for them which kind of bucket they fall into.
Correct. Yeah. And it also helps to get clearer in their mind as well, to go, okay, well, yes, I am having an issue with that, or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, because we quite often, we actually have, quite a lot of success with our forms because there's lots of traffic coming in from other places. But we quite often have people who contact us and they just say something like, need marketing help. And I'm like, it does not tell me what you are. It doesn't tell me the stage of business you're in. It doesn't tell me, are you wanting a strategy? Are you wanting doing? Because we don't do doing. I need to work that out. And so I can see this is a really good way to filter out as many people as who aren't suited to us, just as much as filtering them in.
Yeah. And look, the one on our website as well doesn't, as much as I say they all end up at embedded Acuity booking forms, there are some that they end up down a path because they're just not ready to work with us yet. And throughout that path, we can then redirect them to other resources or people who we think can help, or, specific blog posts or whatever it's going to be. Just because they're going through that process doesn't mean I'm always going to get a booking out of it. Yeah. But at least we're still able to help and really help them to identify what it is they might be after as well.
So one of the things I was going to ask with the contact form, because it interests me, is two things. We have chat on our website. Have you removed chat and just used this instead?
Correct. Yeah.
So can they use it like a chat function, even though it's a pre-recorded video? Can they also use it like a chat function?
So you can do video, audio, or text. Now it's a bit slower than, say, having a Facebook Messenger chat hooked up, because you don't have those instant responses. It still has to go back and forwards. For things like that, there are probably, if you are a business, especially like e-commerce or something like that, much better to have a platform that's suited more for that, like Podium or any of those other ones. But when it's, there'd be better solutions for things like that. You can do the, sending messages back and forwards. It would just be slower than what some of the other platforms would do. Yeah.
So for e-commerce, would they maybe have chat and that, or like, would that be an option for them, or do you feel?
So you could choose to have the chat, as a little widget on every single page of the website, but then you might embed a specific video ask relating to certain things.
I love that. Well. So like if you had like a premium instant pot or something like that, like on your thing, or you've got like the mohair range, you could actually just have a video ask videos going through some of the frequently asked questions around that.
I was going to say, other ways I've seen it being used with e-commerce is, on a specific product page, they'll have a little video of them demonstrating the product. And then, I'll choose your own adventure from there type thing.
I love that idea. So the other thing I was going to ask around this, and you have mentioned the text, my barrier to this a little bit is that, what about people who don't like video or don't like audio and they prefer to write? There is that option, isn't it? You mentioned
there is that option. So one of the things I find, because of what I do, I deal with a lot of people who are technophobic or just aren't good at it.
So do I. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, I don't know if they're going to want to fill out a video. I work with people to teach them how to do video, and I've got people I've been working on for 3 years and they still haven't done it. So,
So what I've actually done is, with the main video asks on our website, I've actually turned off the ability for them to reply via audio and video, because when they're on their phone, it pops up asking for permissions to grant camera and microphone access. Now, for people who aren't familiar with tech and the way it works, that can be a really scary idea, especially when you think of the amount of cybercrime and stuff going on. So from a contact, like for that initial contact funnel that we've got set up, we've chosen for them to only be able to reply via typing, whereas the support ones and the ones that are linked to my email signature, they've got the option where they can do either or. So you can turn things on and off depending on how you see it fitting into what you do.
Love this. Can you share a screen when you're replying back to someone or not?
No.
No. So it's just talking like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just holding your phone up and talking like you normally would.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So I think this is awesome. I'm really like, oh my gosh. I do actually literally think maybe I'm going to check my diary and see if I can clear some time next week. I am a shiny object syndrome person though. And as I said,
Me too.
Rod's a systems person. So like every now and again I go, I want to do this thing. And it goes, cool. Have you done the list from the last meeting? I'm like, damn it. But it actually makes me get stuff done because I then push through the stuff I know I have to do so I can get to the goodies. Yeah. I've got this really cool book idea and he's holding it like a carrot in front of me. And every time I go, I want to do it, he goes, cool. Have we gone through all the other stuff? And I'm like, oh, so annoying. Okay. So it's okay. You have to deal with my marital problems, business marital problems. So we talked before, I knew that I'd say this and it'd be terrible. We talked before we began, like I can see instant applications. We talked about e-commerce, talked about our sort of business. We were working in a consulting kind of service-based business to other business owners. But what about people like tree trimmers or plumbers or builders? Can it have an application to them as well?
Yeah, definitely. So my partner is a fencer and we've popped it onto his website. So with his, there's really only two pathways. One, you want to ask a question. So it allows him to gather data from people. It's got, he's Serbian. So, there's a bit of an accent and things. So it really gives people that chance to see his character and things before they engage. And then also with him, as well as mine, hooked it up to Acuity so people can go and book in their own quotes. So he, again, is walking them through that journey of being able to self-help themselves, which has helped to reduce his admin as well.
I can imagine because, like I've got a couple of clients who are builders and plumbers and things like that. And one of the biggest issues they have is often they've got to go on site. And often there's like a lot of backwards and forwards with emails and messages and trying to work things out. Being able to put that control back in the person that's making the booking, even though it's actually you're controlling it because you've helped that's the trick in sales, right? Is you're secretly controlling it, but the other person feels they're in control. That must eliminate hours of back and forth admin that you don't want to be doing because you have to also be on the job.
Yeah, 100%. So instead of just sending like a boring old email, he can now say, click on this link and figure out what it is that you need effectively.
It's amazing. Now, in terms of pricing, is it expensive? Like, I know, like, that's a loaded question because if it's valuable and it's bringing you money, nothing's expensive, right?
Correct.
So, but what does the pricing kind of look like?
So roughly each month for me, it costs me about 70 Australian dollars. So it'd be roughly the same for New Zealand. But I am specifically on their highest plan because I have removed all of their branding. So it looks like Project Box and doesn't have any sort of, watermarks or anything like that over it. They do do it based on the number of video uploaded minutes as well now, because we actually don't do a lot of the video uploading because like I mentioned before on the website, majority of it is just typing. I've never come even close to meeting the limit on that. But for me, it's specifically because I removed the branding that I am paying that higher plan, but it is worth every cent.
And I'm so into paying for tools that work well. Like I often have this conversation with our clients who are often quite cost prohibitive. Some of them are really nervous about spending money on things and they often go, what's the free tool? And I'm like, if it's bringing you 3 times more leads a month, or you can see 1 sale a month coming from it and your average sale price is 2K, 4K, 5K, whatever it is, it's worth it. Like there should be no question about it. And it's all trust building. Like to me, like I'm always saying, the bedrock of all marketing is building that trust. Using video is such a great way to do that.
Yes, definitely. And personality.
It's showing a personality. It's showing who you are. And I really like that. I've got a question around this. So with the VideoAsk sequence, like I'm just thinking out loud and spitballing just a few things here, but I'm hoping it'll help other people too. So we've got 3 strategists. Is there an option where the videos can be of more than one person, or does it have to be the same person all the way through?
You can put a different video on every single next slide.
Okay.
So to answer your question, it can be definitely more than one person. You can have different people on each side. I've seen it where people have done like showing around an office as well. So they've just turned the camera around and they're doing like an office tour.
Yeah.
You know, so people can see what the office is like before they get there as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be just of a person sitting in front of a camera talking.
I love that, because I'm thinking too, like for me, like one of the things we've been doing is we've all kind of split off into areas of expertise. So kind of like the idea of going, you know, are you an e-commerce brand? You know, click here, and then it would be
hey, I'm Pip, I'm your e-commerce manager.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Like I really like the idea of making it more personalized that way.
Yeah.
So I love this. I think it's such a clever thing. How long did it take you to set it up? Did you do what you would do for your own, like when you turn clients? How would you set it up? Do you just jump in, or what would you recommend to people who are wanting?
Yeah, I would recommend getting out a big whiteboard or a big giant post-it note and actually kind of flow charting it.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to sit down, and it's not until you start doing that you realize all these extra questions come up as you go. Yeah. Now, all of the videos get recorded separately anyway, and VideoAsk will record it for you. Or what I actually did was sit in front of Zoom, hit record, and then I would do one video, pause for like 10 seconds, do another one, and then at the end just went through and trimmed the video into all the different chunks, just because I find Zoom will smooth out my face and do a little bit nice editing.
I have to say, like, because I use TikTok quite a lot and I use Zoom, and sometimes I catch a reflection of my mirror, just my normal face. I'm like, oh, really? Like, that's not what I'm seeing when I'm on Zoom and when I'm on TikTok, because and
at least with Zoom we can have the virtual backgrounds and things
that's true. Mine is I started with a virtual background, and then like I haven't bothered putting it on again. But I agree. So, actually, that's another question. Are the videos for filmed landscape, like, or do they make them like, which way works best with it?
It does come into, so even if you film it landscape, when you actually upload it into their platform, they will trim it down. So wherever my hands are, sides of the screen will come in like this.
Okay.
And it will generally get that middle vertical frame.
Okay, so it is a vertical. So if you did them as a vertical, it's not going to harm it, because that's the look it's going to do.
Yeah, correct.
So that's cool. And how long can the videos be? Or how long?
They're a minute each. Yeah. So it's really having that, you know, okay, well, what are you using the VideoAsk for? So if it's for a contact page on your website, what do you want them to hear from you? And then what questions do you need to ask to help direct them through? But it's more, you know, your questions at the top. How can we help you today? And it might be, I need help with ClickUp. I need help with VideoAsk. I need help to document my processes. I'm not sure, but I just need your help. You know, like,
yes,
of things that make sense to them as to why they would be getting in touch. And then depending on which one they pick would then go down that path.
And so just from a structural thing, and this might, a few people might be going, it sounds too stressful now. So I'm just imagining that, say it was you and you had that option, and one of them was, I'm a startup and I don't have anything in place, and you might go, not my ideal client. It could be, but not my ideal client.
Yeah.
But you want to still keep them in your email list and things like that. Would you then potentially, the next video they saw was like, hi, it sounds like you're not quite ready to work with us. However, I have, at that point, you know, would you still like to get some free ideas and tips? And then they go, yes. And then that would click in with the Zapier to your active campaign with an email for them to get some information. Is that how
you could do that? Or you could redirect them through to an opt-in page on your website.
Okay, cool.
And wherever it's going to suit for them. So for a lot of us, like, we don't ask people to opt in to receive our freebies. We just give them away, but there's an option at the top of the page to say, hey, if you want more stuff, feel free to leave your details here. So we send them to that page so they can browse and see the type of resources that we're putting out. And then if they do want more, then yes, it will opt in and go that way through. But you can send them anywhere.
And with VideoAsk, like, in terms of platforms, in terms of websites, are there limits of what websites it works with?
Not that I've stumbled across, no.
Wow,
so
okay.
As long as you can put in like an embed code, or the little widget that sits on the bottom of every page on my website is a piece of JavaScript. So as long as you are able to put that into the footer code or the header code, you should be fine.
Okay, cool. So so you might, if you've got no website ability, you might need to use a web developer to help you work that.
Someone who can get in the back end and just pop the code in for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know how to do that on my sites because I refuse to get someone to do that. Although I had to put a new pixel on one of my websites. It didn't work for 2 weeks. And then I said to redo it. And there's nothing worse than having to put the new pixel in. And then you can't go back and like, it won't let you copy and paste it once you've done it once. So I had to go and find an old pixel code and then find it. Oh my gosh, but it works now. So I think that knowing how to do a few of those things as a business owner is a good idea because it does make things easier.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so you would set it up. So you're recommending, and I agree with you, do a really good flow chart of what you want to do.
Yeah. Even to start out with a rough one initially to go, what are the things we're offering? How can we turn like that into questions that are going to help people get their own way through?
So for example, we have a coaching program. One of my questions might be, are you looking for content marketing coaching? Yes. So it might be the question and they go, oh no. So they wouldn't look at that one. Or it might be, are you looking for marketing management? And they go, yes. And we go, well, we don't offer. So the next one will be, hi, we actually don't offer that, but here's a link to a page with some recommendations for you.
Yep. Exactly.
So it's kind of filtering it through. So you're still adding value even if you say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And so for you, like for the businesses that you've worked with on this, and obviously it's one of the things that you offer is to help people set it up and map it out.
Yeah.
What stage of business have you worked with people who have got this for their business?
Yeah. Everything from startups all the way through to businesses who've been around 10, 15 years and have teams of people. Like it really just, you're only limited by your own imagination. And once you start using it, things will keep popping up going, oh, now we can use it like this. And now we can use it like this. And you just eventually build out this massive library of different video asks that you're using for different purposes.
And it's totally okay to have different ones on different pages of the website.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I've got on the ClickUp page on our website, we have one specifically for ClickUp, but then I use parts of that on the contact form as well, because there's one that says, do you need help with ClickUp? And it redirects through the same videos.
So you don't, so if you're doing like I guess I'm going to call it a funnel, but if you're doing like a lead generation video funnel, if you've got one here that suits another part of the funnel over here, you can just reuse that one.
Yeah, you can just download the video and upload it straight back into the next one.
And do they, when you're using it behind the scenes, and I'm going to use ActiveCampaign as an example, is it similar to mapping it out? Or I've also used ManyChat, like the automation in there. Is it similar to that in terms of making a flow, essentially, where you
so they look exactly like ActiveCampaign automations and the ManyChat ones where you can see all the lines joining up. Because obviously, if it's A, go to number 14. If it's B, it helps to see where all of those arms go.
You can see why you need to map it out on paper first.
Yeah, much easier.
I'm definitely a paper person. I saw in an active campaign group, someone said, what's one thing you wish you'd done before you started marketing automation? And we started using ActiveCampaign before Rod joined the business. And my answer was planning out on paper. And the guy said, oh, don't you mean planning it out like on a Google Docs? I'm like, no, I need to do it on paper first. I need to make sure it makes sense. I can't do that visually here.
As much as I love tech, obviously I use it for everything. When it comes to mapping out stuff like that, I would rather get a giant Post-it note and stick it on the wall and just draw.
Yeah, I think so. Because sometimes you have to change things around and it's hard to see it. I think it happens with your brain too when you're physically touching it with a pen and paper. I think it's a brain thing. I used to think it was a generational thing, but my daughters are the same and they're like Gen Zs. So I just think either that or I've just ruined maybe I've just ruined them with my modeling. I don't know. So this is I just find this so interesting. So if people were wanting to get started, the first thing they need to do is actually think, does it sound like something that's inspiring to me and engaging with me? And then they should, if they were coming to you to work with you, would you want them to have already thought about some of those questions and thought about the application?
It really depends. Some people come because they struggle to think of what those customer journeys are going to be. So they actually need help to pull those questions out and to come up with a list of videos that they need to film. Other people will come and go, we've already done it. We just need you to build it within the platform because we just don't have the time or we can't be bothered or whatever it is. So it's really one or the other. Other people are like, we just need you to help us learn how to use the platform and we're happy to do the rest. So there's really kind of three different parts.
And you offer all of those things?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, okay. So if people have been listening today, it's quite an important question. Do you work with New Zealanders?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
So I don't say no, my family would get my guts.
Yeah, I know. I'd be like, well, I'm sorry, you're not coming back to the family farm ever again. I know that your partner's a fencer, but he's welcome, but you're not.
Yeah.
So what about if people wanting to get hold of you and talk it through, what do you recommend they do? Like, would you recommend?
You know what I recommend? Go to my website and take a look at the video ask that sits there.
I think that's a great way to
see it in action, see how it works. See, obviously you're not going to see the back end, but at least have a play with it. You're not going to do me any harm if you don't end up booking anything, but feel free to go and play and see the types of stuff that is sitting there.
And so where would they go for that?
Oh, projectbox.com.au.
Fantastic.
I need that one.
Hey Pip, this has been so awesome. I have 2 pages of notes of what I've got. Like here, I've got video ask, coaching, lead gen, turn off this, do this, use it here.
Best place to start simple. Work out what you want your primary focus to be, what you'd like to get, the quickest wins out of, and then just slowly start to expand from that.
I'm laughing because I'm like, there's 30% of my brain's going, oh, that is such good advice. And there's 70% of my brain who's going, la, 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 la. I want to have fun. I don't want to do it that way. But I know it's really important because I am that person with Active Campaign. I'm not allowed to touch Active Campaign automations because I never test them. Yeah. And also I'll often go, it's not working. And then Rod will be like, have you turned it on? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so annoying. No, I haven't. So I'm actually, there's things I'm not allowed to touch. And I've got a thing on my emails because I do send emails out to our lists, like different lists and segments every week. And one of the things I have on my thing is like, if you see a spelling mistake, I wrote it. I am not, when it comes to structured perfection, I love it and play it. There is nothing more beautiful than a beautiful systemized project or journey or something created. But for me to have to map that out is like the equivalent of having 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah. Well, look, and the other recommendation then would be start super simple.
Yeah, super
Just
simple.
have 1 or 2. Would you like to book a meeting, or would you like to send us a question? You don't have to have this really, I think our contact page has something like 25 videos or something all hooked up to it. You don't have to do that. Using the fencing company again, they have 2. 3. Introduction. How can we answer your question? And are you ready to book a quote? That's it.
I love that.
Nothing overly complex, because you can add to it and you can build onto it just as easy as putting it out there in the first place.
No, I absolutely love it. It's been a huge pleasure. Thank you so much, Pip. And I'm hoping people who've listened who've got quite inspired by my extreme excitement.
Your excitement.
They're all going to be going, this podcast was live 3 months ago. Still can't see that video ask on there. Rachel's obviously still not had the nod from Rod. But it's been a huge pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to sharing this. And to be honest, I'm looking forward to clearing my diary so I can have a go of it as well. Thank you so much.
I love it. You're very welcome. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
If you got excited about this podcast topic as much as I did, I have to give you a very important piece of advice. Please, 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 please listen to Pip and me when I say don't just jump on and join VideoAsk now. I want you to sit back and have a think about the customer journey that you're wanting to take your people on and where is the easiest way to get started. If you are a marketing person and you're looking as part of a marketing strategy, you can come and talk to us. But if you're looking at overall systems, please do also get in touch with Pip. She'll be able to help you really create a structure and break down that story and journey for you. Now, for those of you that aren't at that space, it is also a good way to challenge yourself of thinking about how do you make your website do attack or meet, I guess, not attack sounds a bit violent, meet the people that are coming to your website. What are you doing to help work through and sort through the different stages of where they are and making that easier? If you're not going to use VideoAsk, what else could you use to do that? I really enjoyed learning from Pip today, and I hope you realize how excited I am about this. Now, if you've enjoyed this show today and you'd like to hear more, please do hit subscribe so you get notifications of new episodes coming up. Next week is me talking actually about I'm not too sure yet. I'll let you know. And then after that, if you really enjoyed the podcast and you would like to help me out, I would love it if you rated and reviewed it on your podcast platform of choice. And remember, if you haven't got my book yet, Be a Spider, Build a Web, we've got orders open now. The link is in the show notes, and I would love it if you ordered one. Have a great week. If you love what you heard today, be sure to hit subscribe. And if you loved this episode in particular, I'd love it if you shared it on social media. Remember to tag me in so I can say thank you. Have a great week, and we'll talk soon.